Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time there was a little girl who was loved by everyone. She was especially loved by her grandmother, so her grandmother gave her a special present. It was a red cap. The little girl liked this cap so much that she wore it all the time. So everybody called her Little Red Riding Hood. One day her mother said, "Little Red Riding Hood, your grandmother is sick and weak. Take this cake and a bottle of wine to her. If she eats the cake and drinks the wine, she will get better. Be careful so you don't break the bottle. Then there wouldn't be any left for grandmother. Hurry up now, before it gets too hot. Do not stop to play or run off into the woods. And when you get to grandmother's house, don't forget to greet her." "Yes, Mother," Little Red Riding Hood replied. So Little Red Riding Hood took the basket of goodies and left to visit her grandmother. Her grandmother's house was in the woods. She skipped along the path, humming to herself and minding her own business. All of a sudden, a wolf appeared and started talking to her. Little Red Riding Hood didn't know what a dangerous animal the wolf was, so she was not afraid. "Good morning, Little Red Riding Hood," the wolf said. "Good morning to you, too," said Little Red Riding Hood. "Where are you going so early in the morning?" "To grandmother's." "What do you have in the basket?" "Cake and wine. Yesterday we did some baking so grandmother would have some good food to help her regain her strength." "Where does your grandmother live?" "She lives further on in the woods. Her house is right by 3 big oak trees." The wolf thought to himself, "This young girl will certainly taste much better than that old woman. If I am clever enough, I'll be able to catch both of them." The wolf walked next to Little Red Riding Hood for a little while longer. Then he said, "Little Red Riding Hood, just look at all the pretty flowers around here in the woods. Why do you ignore them? Listen to the birds sing. Aren't they beautiful? But you act like you're walking to school. Meanwhile, everything is so bright and cheerful here in the woods." Little Red Riding Hood looked up. She saw how the sunlight danced here and there through the trees. Beautiful flowers could be found everywhere. She thought, "I'm sure grandmother would enjoy a fresh bouquet of flowers. It is yet early in the day, so I can pick some flowers and still get there in plenty of time." So she left the path and went into the woods seeking flowers. As soon as she had plucked one flower, she thought she saw a yet prettier one just a little further. Thus she strayed ever deeper into the woods. But the wolf went straight away to the grandmother's house and knocked on the door. "Who is there?" asked the grandmother. "Little Red Riding Hood," replied the wolf. "I have brought you some goodies, dear grandmother. Open the door." "Just come in," called the grandmother. "I am too weak and cannot stand up." The wolf grabbed the door handle and opened the door. Without saying a word, he went over to the grandmother's bed and swallowed her whole. Then he put on her clothes and set the nightcap on his own head. After that, he lay down in her bed and shut the curtains. But Little Red Riding Hood was still running around picking flowers. Finally, she had a bouquet so big that she could hardly carry it. Then she remembered her grandmother and continued on her way. When she came to grandmother's house, she wondered why the door stood open. As she stepped inside, a strange feeling came over her. "My goodness, why do I feel so anxious today? Normally, I like going to visit grandmother." She called out, "Good morning, grandmother." But she didn't hear anything. Then she went by the bed and opened the curtains. There she saw Grandmother wearing her nightcap and looking so strange. "Oh, Grandmother, what big ears you have!" "All the better to hear you with." "Oh, Grandmother, what big eyes you have!" "All the better to see you with." "Oh, Grandmother, what big hands you have!" "All the better to hold you with." "But, Grandmother, what big teeth you have!" "All the better to eat you with." And with that the wolf sprang out of bed and swallowed poor Little Red Riding Hood in one gulp. Now the wolf was no longer hungry, so he went back to bed and fell asleep. Soon he began to snore loudly. A hunter passing by the house heard the noise and thought, "My goodness, the old lady is snoring so loud. I should go and see if anything is the matter with her." So he went in, and as he came to the bed, he saw the wolf lying there. "Aha! I've found you here, you old devil," he said. "I have been looking for you for a long time." He raised his rifle, but stopped. What if the wolf had eaten the grandmother? Maybe she could still be saved. So instead of shooting the wolf, he took a pair of scissors and began to cut open the sleeping wolf's belly. After he had taken a couple of snips, he saw the little red cap. After a few more snips, out jumped Little Red Riding Hood. "Oh, how frightened I was! How dark it was inside the wolf," she told the hunter. Then the old grandmother also came out, weak but alive. Then Little Red Riding Hood ran and got some heavy stones and put them in the wolf's belly. When he awoke, he tried to run away, but the stones were so heavy that he couldn't move, and he died on the spot. So all three were lucky. The hunter skinned the wolf and took the pelt home. The grandmother ate the cake and drank the wine, and so recovered from her illness. And Little Red Riding Hood learned her lesson. Never again will I do something when my mother has told me not to.